Hi everybody and welcome to ProBuilder version 2.9.7 F5. Very exciting. What actually is exciting though is the, well, quite a few changes here actually. Number one and most obvious, we have a pretty big update to the GUI. So you'll notice if you open this up, if you're just seeing text, so if it's looking like this, just text, make sure and right click and choose use icon mode. Then you'll get all these fancy new icons and such. Again, as usual, you can resize this, blah, 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 blah. But now you'll notice we have these nice button backings, so you get a hover effect, a click effect, all that nice stuff. And number one, or most importantly, if you are using the Unity personal skin, it now looks much better than before in the icon mode. So some of the icons were looking a little washed out and nasty or hard to see. Now it's much better in personal mode, and even looks better in professional. Either way, it's great. So anyway, you'll notice that. We hope you love it. Got some good feedback while we were working on it. So again, send us more, and as you're using it, if you're noticing something's a problem, etc. So with this, a few things changed as well. Number one, just to look at, let's say you are extruding something. You'll notice now that the extrude icon will show the type of extrude it's going to do. For example, there's individual faces, there's vertex normal, or oops, sorry, I already did that one, face normal. As I'm changing that option in the panel here, oops, which again I got to by holding Alt and clicking, you'll notice that has the gear icon on it, icon, so it has some changes you can make. That option is reflected in the icon, and going forward we'll try to do this more often, as much as possible with other icons, if there's ways we can change it to show better exactly what that tool or function is going to do. We'll try to do that. So here again you can see that's changing as you choose it, so when you click that you know exactly what it's going to do versus just kind of guessing what you might have left the settings at. Also, let's see, we have added the new ring and loop feature for faces. So when I select a face, instead of being able to only do this with edges, I can now hit Alt-R to select a ring of faces, or Alt-L to select the loop. So with the face, obviously it has to be a quad for this to work, and it's kind of arbitrary whether it's a loop or a ring goes in which direction. That's not arbitrary, it's just look at it with X to the left and Y pointing up in the face local direction, and then anything to the left is going to be a ring, and anything up and down is going to be a loop. But that can of course change depending which direction you happen to be looking at it. If you need to know, just align your camera, or try both, whatever works until you get used to it. Not quite as obvious, you know, it's obvious that this is going to be a loop, Alt-L, because that's just how edges work, and Alt-R is going to be a ring for that edge. Anyway, rambling, none of that matters. So you can now ring and loop faces, hooray. We've also worked quite a bit on changing up the smoothing groups panel to make this look a lot better and be a little more functional. So for example, if I, let's say, drop these two groups or faces into a single group, and I'll turn blue to indicate it's both used and selected. And if I don't have that selected, it's got this sort of grayish blue look just to show you it's used. Let's also set this into another group, and again you can see if I have these faces selected, it's lighting up the groups that they're part of. If I select a face and another face that is not in any group, it's going to change the how to best explain it, the group icon that is selected to orange, basically just sort of a warning color, hey, some of the faces in your selection aren't actually part of this smoothing group, but you've got some selected. Should become more obvious as you use it, but the idea is just to give you a bit more information as you're using these smoothing groups. You can also click here, the little button we've added, to select the faces in the smoothing group. So again, for example, this face is part of a smoothing group of these three here. I can click and select. Additionally, you can simply click the break smoothing groups button, and that'll kill the smoothing groups on all the selected faces, so they're back to being just hard surfaces, or separate. Oh right, of course, let's assign this back to another one, and let's even maybe create a third smoothing group here. Now we can turn on the preview, and it's going to show you a nice little colored preview of your smoothing groups on the object, which is really handy. You'll see below the icon is also a little color indicator to show you which which color belongs to which smoothing group. So this is really handy if you're checking the smoothing groups in your object and it's not real obvious otherwise. And you can still turn on the normals, of course, if you want to see exactly what the normals are. Within the settings panel, you can change the preview opacity, whether it's dither or some other things, yada yada. And there's a little help button here. So, oops, let's make this panel bigger. It'll be easier. So you can click this little help button and it shows you exactly what to expect within this. And this is something we like to work on adding to lots more in ProBuilder. So if you're wondering what the heck does this panel or tool or whatever do, we'll start adding these little buttons with a question mark, so you can quickly get info on what's going on there, more than just maybe the tooltips will do normally. Just making ways to learn the tools more easily. So that's it for major changes, or rather interesting and exciting ones that you can see quickly. We've also got, of course, some nice new features, support for the 2017.3 beta, lots of work for doing ProBuilderize to import or edit imported or existing models, a couple of bug fixes, fun things with that, of course, and some minor changes. So go ahead and take a look at that. Please do let us know if you're having any troubles with anything. There's always the chance we miss something while going through a big update like this. And we'd love to hear what you think about the new UI, how it's working for you, specifically if you're using the text mode versus the icon. If you find now maybe you used to use text, but now the icon is a bit more useful to you because it looks better, hopefully. Anything and everything. So thanks very much, and see you in future updates.